Alright, we got all our welding done. Take a good look at that. You can see where we have butt welded this whole lip together. I want you to take a good look at it for the reason that there's no warpage. No warpage at all. We're going to come up here. This is where our sail panel is. You can see that there's only one place. I don't even know if you can see it in the camera. There's one place that warped right here. It's just like a little dip, but the rest of it is it's awesomely, perfectly great, and we did the job right. We still got to get this on right here, but that doesn't go on until we put this on. We went ahead and spot welded our panel to the extension lip there on our lower valance, whatever you want to call it, floor extension deal. We ran into a situation. Let me go ahead and sit down here, and I'm going to show you what that situation is.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
But before I show you the situation, I just want to let everybody know that this is a job that you can do at home. There's not anything really involved in doing it except learning how to use the welder and set your welder at the right heat range and wire speed. Let's go over to my welder. I want to show you what my settings are on my MIG welder, and that'll give you a reference point to what we're going to be using, or should I say you're going to be using, when you set your welder to your reference points to make sure that you don't get any warped metal as you're welding sheet metal together. So if you look at these settings right here, these settings are what I set for spot welds. When I say spot welds, I'm talking about that little bastard there. When you're drilling holes to do your spot welds, that's the setting that I use. I use 32.9% wire speed, and I use 18.2 volts. Now, when I do sheet metal work, what we were showing you in the beginning here, I'm going to turn that all the way down to 15.7, if I can get it down there. Okay, right there. And then I'm going to turn my wire speed down to approximately 26.5. And then what we're going to do there is that's the settings that you're going to use when you're welding your panel together, just like this. Now, I want to let everybody know that this has not been grinding down yet. This hasn't been, I haven't used a grinder on it. I haven't sanded it in any way. This is what it looks like with a MIG welder welding when you're using 023 wire. And once we grind that down, it'll be nice and clean and ready for body work to finish out. So now that we see what kind of wire speed and voltage we're using to weld this together, we ran into a situation. I want to show you that, and I'm going to show you how to fix it, because you're going to run into that situation, and when you run into that situation, it's going to piss you off. It's going to piss you off, and you're going to say more than once. But that's okay, because sometimes you got to get your frustration out so you can get down the line and complete the job. The situation we have is that there's a little section on this quarter panel that just happens to be out of form to the original one. And remember when I told you that you're going to find some kind of flaw, some kind of mistake somewhere in an aftermarket part, because if it was an exact duplicate, identically 100% exact duplicate of the factory OEM factory quarter panel, that would be grounds for lawsuits. So somewhere, somehow, you're going to find a flaw in it, and it's not going to be your fault. It's going to be the manufacturer's fault, because that's what they do on purpose. Let's find our problem, and let's get it solved so we can get this thing done. And if you look down on the bottom of this quarter panel section that I put on here, here's our problem right here. you can see that this quarter panel is a little bit longer right here in this area, and it only starts about right here. So from here all the way down here, this opening is smaller. Now that doesn't mean that the quarter panel isn't the right length, it's just that the wheel well opening is smaller than factory. So what I did is right here, I did my last spot weld right here on the fender well to the quarter panel, and then I didn't weld it down right here because I want to leave that loose. And what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to cut a slice in our quarter panel all the way up, okay, in this section right here, and then I'll cut it this way right here. I'm sorry, my hand's up here. All right, we're not going to cut it down here. We're going to cut it up here in this area. And then once I do that, I'll be able to take this section, push it to line it up with the factory right here. You can see how much we got to go. And then once I do that, I'll push that in, I'll mark it off, pull it back, I'll cut it off, and then I'm going to butt weld that in. So let's go ahead and get this done so we can finish this job and get down the road. So what I want to do is I don't want to do it too close to this edge right here because I want to keep that contour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here. Actually, we can't come out there because I've already got that welded. So I'm going to come as far as I can out because I want to keep that contour. And I'm going to take me some tape. And once again, tape is used for what? It's a tool that you use in your shop. That's exactly what it is. Don't be fooled. Tape is good for a lot of stuff, and the main thing it's good for is making a straight line. So we're going to come down here just like this. All right, and we really don't even have to go round with it. You can actually just go flat like this. Matter of fact, I think that's what we're going to do. We're way up here on our last spot weld, but we don't want to go past this mark here. So we're just going to go like this, just like that. All right, you see how I did that right there? And then I'm going to cut this line here, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut a line right here. Now we're going to have some situations arise in this area right here, but when we get all done and get that welded back together, we should have it where we'll do minimal body work to make it all match up. So let me go ahead and cut that out using my cutting wheel, and then we'll just take it from there, because this is a step-by-step procedure here. You got to jump into it. You can't be scared of it. You got to use your brain power. You got to be able to figure out, what am I going to do? If you're getting confused, walk away from it. Go in there, relax, sit down, think about it for a little while, and I guarantee you it's going to come to your mind, and you're going to know how to do it one way or the other. So we got to move this section in, and the only way to do that is we're going to have to cut a section out to move in. Do you see what I'm saying? Now I'm not going to cut this right here. I'm going to leave that on there. All I'm going to do is cut this section here to this line, and then I'm going to cut this right here. And what that's going to do, that's going to let me bring that in. Now what's going to happen when I bring that in is this is going to overlap this, and this corner is going to overlap up here. So what we'll do to make sure that we don't go too far on our body line here, we're going to bring this down just a little bit, about right here. Just like that. Alright, so here we go. Let's get this thing cut and get her done. Alright, so now that we went ahead and cut through that, one thing I do want to warn you about is that you don't want to cut through all the layers of steel there. All you want to do is cut this layer here, and then once we're done cutting it, we're going to peel it off just like this. You can see how that I did that. We're going to bring it out, and then we're going to go ahead, and it looks like just from cutting the length, the width of the cutting wheel, it looks like we almost got it where it fits on there just right. I see one little section I'm going to have to cut out. Let me see if I can get my scribe tool. right here, but it looks like it fit really good just from taking that out. But when I put it like this, you can see right here, I'm going to go ahead and scribe down on that, that to get that body line where I want it, we're going to have to cut just a little bit more off right here on this edge. So I'm going to bend that out of the way, and then I'll take my cutting wheel just like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and take my 2-inch grinder 36 grit, and I'm just going to clean this edge up right here. And then I'm going to test fit it in there again. And now you can see that that fits on there pretty much flush. I notice right here that it's overriding on this piece here, so I'm going to go ahead and take that out. Now it's stuck in there because it fits so good that it's stuck. Let's go ahead and get this out of here, just like this. And I'm going to clean this bottom up here so it's flush with that. Then we're going to put it back in place. And now, what we have done, we went ahead and made our piece. This is bent right here. Hang on. Where's my pliers? Here we go. We want to go ahead and get that bent back out flat. And then, that looks pretty good right there. I like the way that fits. And we still got to clean a little bit of this edge up right here. Let me go ahead and do that. Okay, and fit it in there. And now we can see that that body line is lining up almost perfect. We're going to take our grinder, and now that's ready to go ahead and weld back in place. We cleaned this edge up. Remember, it did stick out like that. All right, we went ahead and saw cut that using our cutting wheel, and from the thickness of the cutting wheel gave us enough room where we could go ahead and move that in. I went ahead and cleaned this edge up and just pushed it in there until we saw everything line up like it should be. I think I'm going to go ahead and clean a little bit more. But is that touching there? Yeah, that's already touching. So we'll go ahead and weld all that together and mimic our way down the road to a perfect fit. And then when we come back, we're going to look the whole job over, check it out. And hopefully this is going to be a done deal. And we can say we did it right and we didn't fuck it up. There's my phone. I got to get it. Take it easy. We'll be back. Yeah, we got a little minute. What's going on, bud?
Pete, I got a 65 Mustang I'm restoring.
Uh-huh.
At the very top in the center of it, some guy had put a CD antenna on it. And a CD antenna, you know, it rested underneath that water, got underneath that CD antenna. You know, where it bounced to the top of the car?
Yeah.
And I cut the rust out, which is about a 3x3 square, or 3x4 square, or something like that. Cut the rust out, and I welded another piece of metal in there.
Okay.
I did that. The top of my car is bowed. It's got a flexing bow in it when I cut that square out. So it got caved in on me, the top of my car. Have you ever ran into that, or can you tell me how I can? You know what I'm talking about? I mean, it just gave like that wide tower across the top. It just gave in. I guess it had that. I mean, I don't know if it lost its stress when I cut that little piece out. I cut that little piece out and I welded a new piece in. And then after I welded it in, I just daubed it, a wet daub, you know, kind of daub. I don't weld it continuous, you know, I spot it around like you show in your video. And after I finished welding the piece, I noticed I rubbed my hand across and it got a caved in place on each side of my weld.
Yeah, that's because when you welded it, your heat was too high. You used the heat on your welder was too hot.
Oh, well, is there any way I can fix it? Because it's old, man. I
Well, you gotta go inside there. You gotta go inside.
I go and try to flex it up, and it just flexes up and down, see?
You gotta get inside the car, and you gotta take a hammer, and you're gonna have to hammer around it so you can stretch that metal back up.
Oh, okay. You think a heat going on the outside or something will help? Do you think that would?
No, if you heat it up anymore, it's gonna shrink down. It's gonna sag some more because you're stretching the metal out.
Oh, forget about the heat. So I'm not going to even do anything to it. Then,
The best thing that you can do is you're going to have to get in the car and you're going to have to hammer around that to stretch the metal back out.
Okay, no heat. Forget about the heat.
No, you don't want to use any heat because that'll stretch the metal and it'll warp it some more, okay? Stay away from the heat. Just going to have to finesse it out with a hammer and a dolly or something, okay?
Okay, but what it's doing now, Pete, is just flexing back and forth when I push it.
Yeah, that's because it's...
When I release pressure from my hand, it'll drop back down.
That's called tin canning. You don't have a dent puller, electric dent puller like I got, so you can't do it from the outside. You're going to have to use a hammer on the inside, and you're going to have to go around all the edges where it's flexing in and out, and you're going to have to just work your way around it till you get that done, okay, buddy?
Okay, Pete. Okay, thank you. I support you 100%, man. Keep up the good work, brother.
Thank you very much. We'll see you later, partner.
Okay, God bless you.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
God bless you. All right, take it easy.
All right, bye.
Oh. Okay, now that we got our quarter panel installed 100%, all we got to do is grind the welds down, do the minor body work. We're done with that. What we're doing is we're fitting our tail light section panel in here, our section of our tail light panel. And now when we first tried it on there before we welded it, with all the flex and everything, it fit in there really nice. I like the way it fit, but now that everything's welded together, we're getting a real tight fit on this thing. Now what I've done is I spot welded the bottom down here, and then I went ahead and I put a spot weld up here. That's lining me up, because this is going to be butt welded, this is flange welded, and then this is all butt welded. But what we got is it's having a very hard time fitting back in to where the taillight panel meets the quarter panel, which is actually good because we want a super tight fit. So if I take my bar, I see that the bumper holes are lining up for us, but I can't get this in there because, once again, this is an aftermarket part, all right? And another reason is because we want a super tight fit to be like a factory fit, and we went ahead and put our quarter panel on first, which we got to anyway because of down here. But now it's time to fit this in there. Now you're going to run into this problem too probably. And what I do on these sections right here is I got a tool, it's called a mow clamp. Alright, because if we start hitting this with our hammer, first of all, we'll never get it in there where we want it, and it won't stay in place. And we got to have something that's going to help us suck that in. Now, if you don't have a mow clamp, this is probably a $175 clamp here, by the way. What you can do is drill a hole in here and take a bolt, okay, bolt some type of a hook or a loop on it, and then run it back down through the body, because what we're going to do is I am going to take this come along, and then what I'll do is I'll come along that into place. All right, and as I'm coming along it into place, as I'm pulling it into place using my come along and my mow clamp, I'll go ahead and get all this lined up and get it finessed where I want it, so it'll be a nice clean fit. So I'm going to take my mow clamp, and then I'm going to come in here, and then what I'll do is I will actually get it fit on here. Let me get it in here real quick, and then I'll show you what we're looking at. Is that it's a wedge, so when you pull on this, you can see See how that wedges itself and then it spreads as it's working. So that's what's good about a Mo clamp. I'm going to tighten this bolt up. I got it clamped as far as I can over to the edge, and then what I'll do from there, I'll run my come along into the car somewhere where I can tie it down, and then we will precisely and slowly pull this thing into place and get all this lined up where we want it. You can also see where I already drilled out for my spot welds right here on this panel that will spot weld to the quarter panel. So I'm going to reach in here and we're just going to snug this down. Like I said, the Mo clamp basically works on its own. Very handy tool to have. More than likely you won't have one of these at home. These are basically made for frame structure, by the way, for straightening frame is what these are for. These really aren't made for this, but if you need a clamp, these are handy to have. So if you ever go to the pawn shop and you happen to see a couple of these laying around and they don't want a lot of money for them, I would pick them up. Okay, we got that bolted down. It's tight. Let me get the come along through there and hook that up, and then we're going to see what we can do with this angle. And we're going to go ahead and take this end here, throw that into the car. Get that baby stretched out like that. Take all this stuff out of the way. And then I'm going to go in the car and get it all hooked up inside. And I'm thinking I want to come through here. And then I'm going to hook it on right here on the floor. Just like that. Actually, we'll go ahead and hook it up here. This is a stronger steel, if we can get it in there. We'll have to hook it on the floor right here. Okay, so we're going to leave that like that. Then we're going to go back up into the front, or should I say the back of the car, and we'll go ahead and start pulling that thing in place. Can you see me? Hello. Let's get this shit going. Let's get her done. Alright, I got my come-alongs all hooked up everywhere. We're going to go ahead and start getting this thing going. And hopefully this is going to do the magic trick that we need to get her done. Alright, we're going to line up our bumper hole. We want to make sure all that's lined up, which it is. Okay. And then we're going to start pulling that into place. Very easy, very slow. We don't want to overdo it. Okay, we can see there's getting a bend here. So what we got is it's a very tight fit there. So we're going to go ahead and take our screwdriver, wrong screwdriver. Take our screwdriver, we're going to pry that baby out a little bit. And there it is, right there. And that's what we want. Now, the top of this has to come out this way, but we got that body line lined up. I'm going to go one more click, just a hair, and now we can see that's lined up. Okay, we got to work on this deal right here, but we're okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some vice grips right there to hold that, and then we'll get this in place. Screw it all down. We're almost to where we want to be. I see that the old panel doesn't really line up with this panel in here, and that's probably because it was wrecked at one time, and that's the main reason we're replacing this, because this section was wrecked. So that's what we're doing. We're pulling it in place, and we're just going to work our way around to line all this up and get it fit in so it will be a factory fit. This really looks good right here. I like the way that's fitting. Like I said, I got to come out with the top of this. Once we get all this mounted here, we want to start down here, work our way up. and that's the way it's done.
Thanks for watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.